Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Olayemi Champion Odushala, and you are welcome to this event that is just absolutely phenomenal and just an inspiring work in our society and in our very midst. The book launch of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba as we celebrate and introduce to the world the book An Enriched Life. Again, I am Dr. Olayemi Champion Odushala, and you're welcome. And with me today is you're going to be hearing from so many wonderful speakers as they testify to this due testament when we celebrate this book with all of you. Thanks for joining us today. We are very happy that you're here. With me today are Dr. Omani Asfor. We'll be hearing from Pastor Bayo Adewale. We'll hear from Ambassador Dr. Martin Uho Muhibi, His Excellency Kwesi Kwarte, Dr. Abdul Hakim Elwer, Advocate Beyonce Gowanus, Olushalape Teriba Ajayi, and Dr. Shafaddin Amuwo. So it is a pleasure for all of us to be here with you today, celebrating Mrs. Yetunde Teriba, the book launch, An Enriched Life. A book that has personally blessed me immensely, I might say. It is an honor to be here with you today, Mrs. Teriba. God bless you for this inspiring work that you have produced from labor and love to give us an insight into the journey of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba. It is nice that you are joining us. We are glad you are here from all over the world, wherever you are. Here in the United States, in Nigeria, in South Africa, wherever you are, all the nations of the earth, we welcome you. And as we start today, we cannot do anything really without the due presence of the Almighty. So if you bow your hearts with me, 1 second and maybe more, just to say a quick thank you. Father, we are grateful that we are here today. We're not here by any means of our own. We're here because of you. We're here to celebrate this. We're here to introduce An Enriched Life, an autobiography of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba with the rest of the world. Take all the glory, take all the honor, and take all the praise. For we have prayed in Jesus' name. All right, you are very welcome. I'm going to go ahead and just share with you what I know about this phenomenal woman that we are celebrating today. Mrs. Yetunde Teriba is an administrator, a gender expert, and a proponent for change who sees discipline and being principled as hallmarks for achieving goals in life. Her administrative skills at the University of Ibadan, coupled with her pioneering role in gender mainstreaming in the African Union, as well as her proven insights into working of women in regional organizations, remain imperative in organizational development. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, she graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts in English and a Master's in Educational Management from the University of Ibadan. She holds a certificate in social development, policy and practice from the University of Manchester, and certificates in project development and management, in election observation, and in French language studies from Vichy and Besançon universities in France and Alliance Française in Nigeria and Ethiopia. She retired from the African Union as the head of the Division of Gender Coordination and Outreach of Women, Gender and Development Directorate in December 2013. The ramifications and scope of her work with the OAU and the AU is amply reflected in the history and progressive evolution of women and gender issues in the organization ever since she joined the then Women's Unit when it was established in 1992. Prior to that, she retired from the African Union as the head of the Division of Gender Coordination and Outreach of the Women, Gender and Development Directorate in December 2013. Prior to that, she was employed for more than a decade in the service of the University of Ibadan at various administrative levels between 1979 and 1989. After completion of 1 year service as a graduate teacher in Nigeria National Youth Service Corps. On joining the OAU in 1989 and transferring to the newly established Women's Unit, she made invaluable contributions to the establishment and functioning of support institutions and pertinent platforms. In addition to her professional work and provision of representational inputs, she for years rendered managerial assistance and support to the institution's gender structure, and established a productive record of research and programmatic outputs. With the realization of the important role of the AU in gender policy and advocacy, and considering the many relevant programs and activities it carried out, she was closely associated with all efforts to mainstream components of women and gender issues into the various programs and activities in the AU Commission, other AU structures, AU member states, and partners. This includes areas such as women in the peace process, economic and political empowerment of women, women and drug abuse and trafficking, trafficking in women, women's rights and the fight against harmful practices, women reproductive rights, and HIV/AIDS, amongst others. She also endeavored to reach out and maintain a commendable and productive network of cooperation and cordial working relations with AU partners and stakeholders in the interest of gender mainstreaming and development of the African continent. Since 1992, in the course of her duties, she has participated in several training workshops and seminars on women, gender, and development issues. She organized, participated in, or attended well over 100 seminars, workshops, symposia, and conferences across the globe. She wrote several professional research and operational policy papers and made presentations on various areas and of gender issues for the consideration of OAU and AU policy organs and other fora that have led to the policy decisions adopted by AU member state and other stakeholders. She is a recipient of several awards due to her works with many non-governmental organizations which contribute to uplifting the lives of women in Africa. She was recently widowed after being married for 41 years to Professor Yetunde Teriba, a renowned economist who made extensive contributions to Africa's economic development. Yetunde has children that are notably successful in different professions. She's also blessed with several grandchildren, and you can see her face light up in the company of her grandchildren. Those are her favorite pictures that I love. Yetunde is a beautiful woman who loves to see people happy, and she finds fulfillment in knowing that she contributed to their happiness. And in a short moment, we will go ahead and view the trailer of the book video.
If you don't tell your story, people will tell your story and you will not even recognize yourself in it. The inspiration in writing the book is because I discovered that I've led a very enriched life. I believe it's very important for people to know what I know. Like I said, the lessons about family, about faith, about determination to succeed. That no matter where you find yourself in life, all you need is somebody to believe in you and to give you that push that you need.
We're now going to hear from our speakers. First, we have Dr. Amani Astor. She is the president of International Federation of Business and Professional Women, BPW, and president Egyptian Business Women Association, EBWA, among several other leadership roles.
Movement, how we had the advocacy with the head of state, with all the policymakers, how the whole movement, women movement, to reach the Solomon Gender Declaration, which is now reported by all heads of states with reference and the member states with reference to our women empowerment and gender equality. It's an interesting to see how women movements, how women militants have perceived, have come to this journey together. I encourage you all to have the book of Enriched Life, written by my very good friend, women militant, Yetunde Teriba.
I want to once again thank you for joining us on this epic event at the launching of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba's autobiography, An Enriched Life. I am telling you, I have read this and it has inspired me so much, even in the past weeks, just to say that there is a full life ahead of all of us that we have to live. And it is such an honor to be able to be a part of this today. Thank you so much for joining us. Next, we are going to hear from Pastor Bayo Adewale. He is the senior pastor of Jesus House Chicago. He's dedicated to a full-time service of nurturing and challenging the body of Christ to a life of holiness and submission to the Lord. He is very passionate about godly family living and helping people realize their potential as they walk in the fullness of God's purpose for their lives. Here is Pastor Bayo Adewale.
My name is Bayo Adewale, Senior Pastor of Jesus of Chicago. I'm happy to say a few words regarding the book written by Mrs. Yetunde Teriba. I've known Mrs. Teriba for about 15 years now, when I have 4 children who are members of Jesus House, and 2 of them are still. She and her husband have also retired to Chicago, and they're members of Jesus House, and she's currently active in our Elders Group. And regarding the book titled Enriched Life, Mrs. Teriba has been able to demonstrate her dexterity in encouraging women, particularly in the area of empowerment, to become what they can ever be. She has been able to prove that she was a seasoned diplomat, and she's able to encourage the women to aspire to be the best they can be. I've gone through the book, and I would like to encourage everyone to read this book. Buy for yourself, buy for your families, buy for friends. It will be an interesting read for you. God bless.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Ambassador Dr. Martin Uhomuibi. He's a former UN Undersecretary General. He's a seasoned Nigerian diplomat who has served in various capacities in Nigeria's embassies and high commissions all over the world. He was the former president of the United Nations Human Rights Council and a former permanent secretary of the Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, among other laudable positions. He is the president of the Pan-African Institute for Global Affairs and Strategy. Please let us hear from Dr. Martin.
It is a great pleasure and privilege for me to do this short clip on my dear friend and sister, Mrs. Yetunde Teriba, whom I have known for decades as undergraduates at the University of Ibadan in the 70s. The book, An Enriched Life, tells everything you want to know about this elegant, richly endowed, spiritually benevolent, and well-traveled, well-educated diplomat civil servant, Yetunde Teriba. I have myself read that book. I think it's an authentic account about her entire life's journey. The biography was excellent. And anyone who wants to know how one can deal with challenges of life without equivocation will need to read that book. The book is an excellent tribute to a brilliant, elegant, and very proud Nigerian. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again for joining us on this epic book launch of An Enriched Life. You know, I have my book here, and in a little bit, I'm going to have to tell you how beautiful this looks. You just hold on, because the reveal is in person, beautifully crafted, just like the author. And I cannot wait for us to show you our books, and we will encourage you to make this a good read for you, because this is indeed a very wonderful exposition of the life that is surrendered to God. But first, we're going to hear from our guest speaker. His Excellency Kwesi Korte is the Deputy Chairperson, African Union Commission. Prior to joining the African Union Commission, Ambassador Korte served in various capacities in Ghana's embassies and high commissions all over the world. He was also the permanent representative to the Ghana mission to the United Nations in New York, and served as Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, among other laudable positions. Please hear from Dr.
Of the autobiography of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba, entitled An Enriched Life. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Good morning, Your Excellencies. Good morning, colleagues. I am delighted today to have been invited to participate in this remarkable event. Today we celebrate the launch of the autobiography of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba, entitled An Enriched Life. This book is an account of Mrs. Teriba's contributions and travails to the development agenda of the African women and through our continental organization, the OAU, and its successor organization, the AU. This book, An Enriched Life, is a fascinating narrative of the road traveled by our sister, Mrs. Yetunde Teriba, who is our distinguished author. From relatively humble beginnings, characterized by hopes, by fears, by uncertainties, and by challenges, as well as opportunities associated with being an orphan at a very young age in Lagos, Madame Yetunde Teriba has successfully navigated her way through international institutions to international importance. Madame Yetunde Teriba worked with the Organization of African Unity, OAU, and the African Union, AU, for more than 2 decades. This marked a defining period in the journey of an enriched life, about which she writes. Africa's foremost intergovernmental organization, the OAU and the AU, exposed Mrs. Teriba to working in a multicultural international environment. And this experience enriched her diplomatic skills and provided rewarding interactions with African and European governments, United Nations bodies, and the international community as a whole. Mrs. Yetunde Teriba meticulously documents this unique experience for posterity, reflecting in the process the evolution of the role of women, their rights, the evolution of the gender and development policy of the OAU, as well as the African Union. For me personally, it has been my pleasure and privilege to have written the foreword to this book. As she says in her book, that is her own words, so despite challenges, she has had to forge ahead with determination and hope that the concerns of women will one day be illuminated and as sustained efforts are made to spotlight and bring them to light. She calls on all of us to forge ahead with determination and hope for the advancement and the appreciation of the full potential of the African woman, our mother, our lovers, our wives, and our daughters. I should like to conclude by thanking our panelists and all those attending this book launch, even if virtually. Let me once again congratulate my sister, Madame Yetunde Teriba, for sharing her story with us. By so doing, she's encouraging all of us to tell our own story and to do so in writing. Thank you, and God bless our African sisters. God bless Africa, our dear continent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That is so nice to hear all those testaments of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba. As beautiful as she is inside, outside, just a beauty to behold in every way. You have been such an inspiration to us, to our community, and I bet every community that you have ever existed in. And it is such an honor to be able to celebrate this day with you as we launch the book An Enriched Life, an autobiography of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba. Next, we are going to hear from Dr. Abdul Hakim Elwer, former Director of Administration, African Union Commission, a renowned diplomat. He's currently with the Islamic Development Bank as the advisor to the President on Global Advocacy and is the spokesperson in the President's office.
My name is Dr. Abdul Hakim Ilwar, the spokesperson of the Islamic Development Bank and the advisor to the President on Global Advocacy. Yetunde Teriba was a former colleague when I served in the African Union as the Director for Administration and Human Resource Management, as well as the Director for Human Resources Science and Technology. She was then the head of Gender Coordination and Outreach in the African Union. It was an honor to work with her on several initiatives that contributed to improving the lives and livelihood of the women in the African continent. Yetunde is passionate about education for girls and using women empowerment to achieve sustainable development. An Enriched Life by Yetunde Teriba chronicles the story of an African lady who defies all odds and rose to stand on her feet as a champion on women empowerment. The book provides an insight on why women in Africa should be confident in themselves. I encourage you to get a copy. It's a great souvenir for the next generation of African women. Thank you.
Please pardon us on that. We are going to move right along in the program as we work on that. And we are going to hear from someone who has worked intimately with Mrs. Yetunde Teriba. Thank you so much again for joining us on this luncheon and Enriched Life and autobiography of Mrs. Yetunde Teriba. It is an insightful book. And as a young woman who has always looked up to Mrs. Yetunde Teriba, it was just a brighter enlightenment of the things I thought I knew that I did not even know a half of. The tenacity to work through life despite the adversities of life and still shooting and targeting for a dedicated life of fulfillment and success. So it is a privilege to go on with this program. We're going to hear from our next speaker, and our next speaker is Advocate Beyonce Gowanus, former Commissioner for Social Affairs, African Union Commission. Advocate Gowanus was an active participant in the struggle for Namibia's independence and worked tirelessly to prepare Namibian women for their role after independence. Her passion for women and human rights led to her appointment as the Ombudsman in Namibia. She held several high-ranking positions in legal and public service before her appointment as the Commissioner for Social Affairs in the African Union. She was a part of those who led the transformation of the Organization of African Unity to the African Union. Until very recently, she was the United Nations Under-Secretary General and Special Advisor on Africa. Advocate Gowanus is passionate about human rights, gender and social development issues, and uses her education, knowledge, and extensive experience to promote good governance, ethics and strategic management, the reform of laws, particularly on gender equality, and the rights and welfare of the most vulnerable and marginalized.
I, Dr. Yami Yetunde, in 2001, 2002, you were amongst those that campaigned for 50-50 representation at the AU. I was a beneficiary of the 50-50 because I became one of the 5 women commissioners on the African Union Commission. I've always seen you not as just as a colleague. You were my sister and you were my friend. And it is really, I don't know how to put it, but I left the AU in 2012. 8 years later, Yetunde, we are still together, calling each other now and again. And I'm really saddened by the loss of Prof, whom I came to know also very personally. But yes, all I can say to you, Yetunde, is firstly, thank you for my signed book, which I will treasure. Secondly, I've always maintained, if we do not tell our stories will never be told. And if they are going to be told, it is not going to be the true reflection of who we are. You have inspired me. I have been writing my memoirs for the last 30 years, and now I have no excuse not to write my memoir. Because reading through the Enriched Life and really understanding what we as women go through our lives, and yet still come out at the end and inspire others and be an example for others. That is what you did, Teriba, and I'm so extremely proud of you. Your voice representing the women of Africa, pushing through. You remember the many ministerial conferences, the many assemblies that we had to sit through until sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning, but always wanting to make sure that the women's voice is heard, that women take their place at the table, as we always say. And you were there, right there at the forefront. You were basically the glue that kept the gender directorate together, because directors came, directors went, but you were there, and you were the one that provided the continuity that the gender directorate needed. So all I can say, Yetunde, is that really I don't know how you pulled it off. I know the challenges that you have gone through, but I guess it must also have been the inspiration that you got being surrounded by your grandchildren. You know, they really lighten up our lives and gives us a sense of life that we don't really always have. But I need to tell you the one thing that I've always been envious about Teriba, and I always used to tell her that it was her dress, her sense of fashion, and the jewelry. I mean, it was just amazing to see those pieces. Despite the fact that she was so busy, she always had, and mind you, what she wears is what she's making herself. So don't think that she has bought it from anybody else. Teriba, I've come home. I'm under quarantine for 14 days. I've made my first 7 days, so this is actually a very important day for me because I'm starting my second week of quarantine, and I'm so glad to be able to speak to you from Namibia. I'm extremely proud of you, and I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy to hear your story, to read your story,
Thank you.
and let others
Thank
follow
you.
and let others say, despite the challenges, we can overcome. Thank you very much, Teriba.
Yes.
Thank you, Yetunde.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It is indeed an honor to still be here with you. Thank you so much for that. Just a personal insight into this beautiful life that we are celebrating. Um, it is my pleasure to introduce this next speaker. Our next speaker is Olushalape Teriba Ajayi, a senior system analyst who is our author's daughter. You are so welcome.
Thank you so much. Mom, you did it. I am so proud of you, and I'm honored to be here to celebrate you and this great accomplishment. It's taken a lot for me not to break down in tears because you are my best friend, and me and my siblings, we're so incredibly proud of you. Mom, you have mothered hundreds of people, literally hundreds, not just me, not just my friends sometimes, but so many people. You've also mothered my children. They even call you mom, which is a term of love for you. You have been my greatest inspiration, Mom. You have gracefully balanced family and career. I always ask you how you've done it. I'm like, you had 4 children. How? You're traveling, you're succeeding in your career. You're just a motivation. Like I'm in awe of how you've accomplished that. You We're such a great wife to dad. I'm not even going to go there because I'm going to get emotional. But you did such a great job, Mom. And we're just so thankful for you. You have been my spiritual leader. I've been through some challenges, even trying to have my last born. You lifted me up. You constantly pray for me. You've been carrying me since I was a baby and into adulthood. I'm 40 years old and you've always been there for me. I'm so grateful. You're my hero. And just learning about your story, being orphaned at such a young age, and yet look at you today. You are simply amazing and you're my motivation. You and I we've had so many adventures together. I went to France the first time with you, just you and I, solo. I mean, that was just such an amazing experience for a teenager. We've been to Zanzibar together, just you and I. That was our last trip together, but I know we're going to have many more. And those experiences were life-changing for me. I look up to you because of the motto that you live by. You believe in living and enjoying life to the fullest. And that is something I strive for because of you. You've been through challenges and yet nobody can ever tell. You're so graceful in the way you carry yourself. You're beautiful. And I'm just, I feel like I won the lottery being your daughter. You're my best friend. You're one of the greatest loves of my life. And I'm so grateful for you. And I'm so proud of you. Mom, this book, you don't understand what it means to us. We're so proud of you. Love you so much.
Thank you so much for that. Mom, I love seeing the tears. I love seeing the tears. I celebrate tears because your tears cleanse you. They are just a testament to the journey, to say that we are still here. And I know that Daddy is looking down at you today and saying, yes, that's my wife. And for the celebration that is in our hearts today, we celebrate you for all that you have come through and for this beautiful gift that you have given to your children, your family, and the rest of the world. Thank you so much. It is my pleasure to introduce to you now the chief launcher of An Enriched Life, Dr. Shafideen Amuwo. Professor Shafideen Adeniyi Amuwo is a clinical associate professor emeritus, University of Illinois, Chicago. He is, as of 2019, the only living Black person ever so honored as emeritus at UIC, School of Public Health. He retired from UIC after serving in several academic and administrative positions. He then conducted research and pursued grant funding activities and was credited for bringing over $40 million as a principal investigator, co-principal investigator of many research and training to UIC. He was the architect of Pipeline's Pathways to Health Professions, a large US training grant that exposed thousands of young people to health professions for over a decade. He's generally recognized as a public health bridge builder extraordinaire, for which he received several awards and commendations on the floor of the US Congress in July 2004. He has participated in many public health and medical missions and led efforts that provided over $50 million in medical eyeglasses to several African countries, including Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa. He currently serves as the chairman, Africa International House, the producer of African Festival of the Arts, which is the largest annual festival in Illinois that advances contemporary African arts and culture. He also serves on several important boards, both in the US and Nigeria. Here is Professor Amuwo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yemi. Good morning, everyone. I am similarly inspired by the book written by a dear friend. We became friends since we were members of the Lagosians of Chicago. I know all the Lagosians of Chicago, the members of the Eco Club International, as well as Eco Club in Lagos are very, very proud of you. This book, An Enriched Life by Mrs. Yetunde Teriba, should be purchased by everyone. It is inexpensive. It is only $25. That is less than the cost of a week of a week supply of Starbucks. Every month, make it a point of duty to read a 3 blockbuster book. This month, I read 2, and one of them is this autobiography. Now, as I read the book, a lot of things came to mind, because being a robust articulation of bureaucracy that takes place within the African Union, as well as all the other precursors union before the African Union, I was thinking that she must have gone through a lot. In this book, Mrs. Teriba attempts to debunk the structure of power and the structure of impunity that many women actually experience. She not only wrote about herself, but she also wrote about the experiences of others. We came from the same area. When I was reading the book, we discussed this earlier, quite a number of highly acclaimed people come from Agarahu, Ojogiwa, and Okuawo area. But not too many of us actually put our experiences in the book. There is not too many of us actually spends time to educate others, which Mrs. Yetunde Teriba has done in this book. So what I'm asking all of the members of Eco Club International, all the members of Eco Club in Lagos, all the members of Lagosians of Chicago, what I'm asking you to do is to make sure you buy the book. Not only buy the book, but make sure you click the link right now as you are listening to us launching the book, so that your friends will be able to take advantage of the kind of experiences, the kind of honor that Mrs. Teriba present in this book. There are 5 groups of people that I know for sure to purchase this book. This book will have been a textbook. It will have been a textbook because it details the life of a successful person who had to navigate a lot of areas that many of us that grew up in Lagos at that time experienced, but we failed to put it on paper. Young couples. You have read through the book, read through it, please go to the book. You will learn how to use your skills, your intellect, and the kind of passion you have to ensure that you have a successful married life. Because she did it, Mrs. Teriba did it, in spite of the heaviness, the kind of things she had to go through within the African Union and also in many areas of her life. This book should be read by all diplomats. In fact, I was so moved by the book, I called a friend of mine who has just been appointed as an ambassador. I said, read the book before you dwell into this business of being a diplomat. The book should be read by all politicians, because it provides an avenue where you can balance, as a politician, where you can balance your life, your lifestyle, and also the work of empowering people. You can't empower people by not taking care of your family. You can't empower people by not ensuring that people in your immediate vicinity are well addressed. What Mrs. Teriba has done here is to put all of these things together. The book should be purchased by students or students who are attempting to become journalists, attempting to go into public life, attempting to ensure that the issue of non-parity among many people are addressed. Gender parity has been a passion of Mrs. Teriba. In fact, when I started reading the book, I thought she was a feminist because of the way the book is written, because of her passion for women, because of her passion to ensure that women has their place in the society. A few days ago, I read some story about the current president of Ethiopia, and what went to my head is that she must have read this book in terms of some of the things she's doing to ensure liberation of women, to ensure the support of women within Ethiopia. In Nigeria today, we have 36 governors, not one has been a woman. If they have read the book, they will have known what women bring to the table to ensure that they use their power and skills. So she debunks the miscegenation of culture, the culture within our society in Nigeria that discourages the woman from taking prominent role. But we've come along, way along. This book will continue to inspire all of us, especially those of us that came from the same area that you came from. It's only $25. You need to purchase the book. You need to buy the book for your friends. You need to use the book as gift. I have bought about a dozen copies of the book so that I can use the book as gift and be very proud of doing so. The Lagosians of Chicago are very proud of you as a member of our club. And we hope that we will continue to support you, and we hope that you will continue to use your knowledge to help all of us. I know if not for this pandemic, you'll be out there in many lecture rooms, talking to young children, talking to adults, talking to them to know that in spite of coming from our area, Okuawu, you can become a great deal and a big deal. So thank you very much for writing this book, and thank you very much for the honor and the privilege to be the chief launcher of this book. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Professor Amuwo. Thank you very much. I think this might be a good time for us to kind of pose our books, if we could do that. You know, I got mine right here. And I am very proud to be a proud owner of An Enriched Life by Mrs. Yetunde Teriba. This book has changed my life beyond what I thought mommy had changed my life. I've always seen her as, you know, just somebody to look up to. Again, you walk into a room and you will see her because just like it's been said today, she stands out of a million. And now getting to know her a little bit more intimately, reading this book has been life changing for me as a young woman who is pursuing God, who is pursuing career, and who is pursuing life and family all at the same time. Mommy, you are an inspiration to all of us. Thank you for being alive.
Thank you.
And just to
Thank
get
you.
an insight, you know, people, you're going to have to read this book. I'm not going to give you any tips. You are going to have to buy this and read it. If you want a hardcover copy, you should go to www.yetundeteriba.com. And if you prefer to read An Enriched Life on a Kindle or the paperback version. They're also available at www.amazon.com. So, and anywhere books are sold. Please get your copy. I just wanted to talk with you a little bit, Mommy, because you're such an enigma to all of us. We wonder how you do it. How have you done this? First, I want you to share with us, what was the inspiration for writing this book?
Thank you so much for the way you have been handling this book launch. And I know there's a place to do the thanking, but I want to thank everybody that's been on this platform to launch this book. And when we talk about the inspiration to write the book, I haven't lost my parents, my mom when I was 2 and my father when I was 7. I didn't know much about my background. I didn't know, especially having been taught from one relation to the other growing up and all that. I didn't know much about the background to where I came from, and I became very curious. And I believe that for my children, it's very important for them to know where they come from, but not boring readers. What I came out with is an attachment, meaning it's at the back of the book. That is only that part is more for family, the origin of my mom, my dad, and all that. So that's one of the main things. And I believe that my children should know their mom and also more about their father. About their father is also an attachment to the book. So I believe that I've lived a very enriched life. I mean, God has been so kind to me because I never knew. And I'm sure those who contributed very heavily in bringing me up never knew that I will achieve too much. But I believe that the journey has been such that should be documented and should be shared because we all have a story to tell. Also, I believe that it is very important to document the evolution of the Women, Gender and Development Program, the development of the policy programs and activities of the African Union, since I was privileged to be a pioneering staff from the inception of the Women's Unit in the OAU in 1992 till my retirement at the end of 2013. Friends and colleagues have also been urging me to put, this down on paper. Also, my faith in God through Jesus Christ and how he has been guiding my footsteps. So those are the inspirations. I believe that sharing is caring, as we say nowadays. So those are in brief, the inspiration in writing the book.
Who had been inspiring us before you wrote this book. And I'm sure that as it touches lives, we would be even more inspired to activate our inner potential, because that is what you have done all your life.
Thank you.
Even through all the adversities that life threw you, being orphaned, at a very tender age and going through all the changes, still being able to maintain and being able to attain and achieve. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you one other question today. In terms of women empowerment, what were some of your accomplishments in the African Union, and how much work still needs to be done?
In terms of accomplishment, most of them are listed are well articulated in the book, but in brief, is that on joining the Women's Unit in 1992, I made sure that I sat at the feet of Ambassador Famajoka Bangura, who was the UN consultant that was brought in to establish the Women's Unit. And I learned a lot from her in terms of, if you go to a meeting, you have to prepare very well. You have to put your thoughts in writing and make sure you tell the organizers that they should put you in the program so that you make a statement, about what you are doing or what the organization you represent. Don't just go and be a participant, just to be there. But you have to actually participate and make an input. And when you come back, you have to write a report. So those are things that I could say was an achievement that I passed on to those who worked with me. Although it was not easy at the beginning because people thought that I was trying to gain popularity or to try to stand out no matter what. So another is that to ensure that policies, programs, and activities of the Women Gender Development Program were informed about what was happening at the grassroots level, so that because when you know what is happening at the grassroots, you can easily come up with the relevant policies at the policy level. So I think that for me is an achievement. And so because of that, I work very closely with NGOs and other regional partners and organizations. Another major one was mentioned by Advocate Gowanus in terms of the gender parity principle. It was very, very, very tough. I tried to document as much as possible the struggle and all the oppositions that we faced at that time, because you know that at the level of heads of state, at that time we didn't even have one single female head of state. So it was a big fight, but it happened. So in fact, like President Mbeki said, that any member state of the African Union that does not implement the gender parity principle of 50-50 is breaking the law. So I believe that has come to stay, and it's just for our member state to take ownership of that. So also the growth of the unit from 2 staff at that time with no budget, and a lot of opposition thinking that, women, talking about women's empowerment means that women are going to be fighting their husbands, and they will say that they are not going to cook or do this or do that. Debunking the minds, conducting gender training workshops, and even at the level of heads of state by ensuring that we bring in front of them documents to indirectly train them, because they wouldn't know that they are being trained. So I believe that the unit moving from a unit to a full-fledged directorate, I believe that is one of the things that I could say that as an achievement. Also, like, I can go on and on. And I also ensure that there's proper documentation. I left a lot of documentation on my desktop when I left, to make sure that there was continuity. To make sure that the cause of women is on, when we are fighting for women, you remain on cause, despite attempts to ensure that it's the contrary. And another is that, to fight, I was very proud that I was able to help to fight for the rights of women in the organization also. In terms of what is left to be done, I can only say that there are 3 things that are left to be done. Implementation. Those are the 3 things that needs to be done, because a lot of policy documents are already in place, and all we need now is implementation. At times, I feel very sad when I listen to what has been done in the past being repeated and rehashed. So what we need to do is if you can implement at least 20% of what the policies that are already on the ground in Africa, I think the whole world will flood to come and live in Africa, because Africa will be transformed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I heard things that I am taking home with me. Get a mentor and take up space when you're in a room. Be prepared when you go to the meetings. Speak up when you come back, document. And I like how you highlighted the things that you have done. And now it's let's practice it. Let's put it into place. There's one other question that I would love to have you answer for us. You were born in a Muslim home. You ended up traveling through your journey through Catholic and Christian elementary and high, or what we call secondary schools. And now you practice your faith and you are secure in the God that you serve. Can you share something very briefly, because we are wrapping up here, about the universality of God and what that means to you?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I want to emphasize that you don't have any choice into which family you are born into. If you are born into a Buddhist family, you will hit your head on the ground and say that is the way to God. So I will say that I know that I was born into a Muslim family, but I never, because I lost my parents early, I never really had the opportunity to appreciate the religion, to know enough about it. But as time went on, I got to be comfortable in being a Christian. And what I've also learned is that one should not pass judgment on any religion, because our meeting with God, even, meeting with God is immediately one dies, it doesn't have to be at the rapture and so on. It's a one-to-one thing. Our relationship with God wants us to relate to him as a one-to-one. And it should not be a group thing or a family thing and so on. So I believe that God, in his infinite mercy, will just be looking at us as his children and be saying, look at them, they are discriminating against themselves. You are all my children. The important thing is that look at what works for you. Christianity works for me, and I really thank God for knowing him, because that way, because it has really made me to be comfortable in my skin and to know that I have a cover. And so I hope I answered.
Thank you. You answered eloquently, as always, that question. One very quick question. You have about maybe 30 seconds to answer this. Now you cut the writing bug, right? You cut the writing bug, Mama. And so this is your first book. And
Yes.
if your first book is this phenomenal, I have a question for you is, are you going to write more? I mean, what are we to expect from you?
I've already started writing another book, but it's a Christian book. And I hope that I will be able to finish it in time. In record time, not like this one that took me about 13 years because of life, and then I had to write and put that. So I have a book that is coming up. Like I said, it's a Christian book. I know that there are lots of Christian books out there, but I hope that this will make a difference, because it's going to talk about adversities and how to overcome, cope with adversities in life. And also, I'm publishing the book of tribute of my husband, because of the nature of his nature and his achievements. When he passed about 3 months ago, there were lots of tributes flowing here and there. And I just said, all this cannot just, be flying around. So lots of people, lots and lots of people from all walks of life that knew him, students, colleagues, organizations, institutions, have written a lot. So I'm publishing that one also. So those are the two books in the pipeline.
We cannot wait. We cannot wait. I just want to encourage you one more time, if you are joining us today. First, I want to thank all our speakers. I want to thank everyone that is on this book launch with us, and Enriched Life by Mrs. Yetunde Teriba. Beautiful inside and outside, carrying us through a journey that through adversity you can achieve and attain. Focusing on the things that are important. Family is key. Nothing happens without family. If you want to know about dedication to family, please look in this book. Thank you so much. Again, get your book, www.yetundeteriba.com, and on Amazon.com. Also, you can get An Enriched Life. It is so nice, and it's been a very good privilege to have shared this time with you in the launching of this beautiful book and this beautiful woman, and the family that she has surrounded herself with. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so
Please
much.
buy and read the book. Mommy, do you want to say thank you to everyone that has joined us today on this lunch? Go ahead and talk to your audience.
Thank you so much. I jotted some things down because I don't want to miss anyone out. I have to start by saying that I thank Jehovah God for making me know him and trust in him, as it is because of him that I'm still standing despite all life's challenges. My gratitude goes to my late husband, Professor Yetunde Teriba, for being my love and partner for 41 years, being half of his life on earth, before God welcomed him home on the 23rd of April this year. And my gratitude goes to my sister, Mrs. Olaiwola Abike Olasope, who has been my mother and father, all rolled into one. She has been God sent to shape my life. Her children are the brothers and sisters I've been blessed with. I'm grateful for my children and their God-ordained spouses and my grandchildren. They are all another evidence of God's goodness and greatness in my life. I thank my children for their support in urging me on, despite the many challenges in the home front. I thank my brother, Alhaji Muiz Muhammad, who went to our ancestral homes in parts of Lagos to do a lot of research and collect information from the aging family members. I thank him so much for that. My gratitude goes to Papa Ayorinde and my sister, his wife, who took me into their home during my secondary school days. His children and grandchildren are like my siblings. My thanks go to Pastor Tunde Oladumiye of the International Pentecostal Church in Addis Ababa. I thank my pastor, Senior Pastor Bayo Adewale, whom you heard from a short while ago, of Jesus House, Chicago, and his wife, Pastor Yemi. My gratitude goes to my fellow elders of Jesus House, Chicago, under the able leadership of Elder Jayoba, whom I love so much. My church has been a support and a blessing. I'm grateful for the support of Eco Club International and the Lagosians of Chicago, ably led by Honorable Larry Ojo and Honorable Lola Ogbara, respectively. I thank those who have contributed along the way to ensure that my vision of the book comes to fruition, including my brother, Basi Edeme, Professor Raphael Olaniyan, my niece Adiola Ajibade, amongst several others. My gratitude also goes to the African Union Deputy Chairperson, who, despite his busy schedule, wrote the forewords to my autography. He was to launch the book in Addis Ababa before the COVID happened. I thank my friends and former colleagues in the international community, especially at the African Union and in the Women, Gender and Development Directorate. And of course, I'm grateful to Rotimi Kende and his formidable and professional team at Kingdom Branding that ensured that my self-publishing effort came into fruition. I thank Dr. Amuwo for his support all along the way and in launching this autobiography. I thank my go-getter sister, Advocate Beans Gowanus, whom my husband and I admire and love very much from the time she came into the African Union as the Commissioner for Social Affairs. It was she who first mooted the idea of virtually launching my book. I thank those who I met during my continued enriched life, most of whom are acknowledged in the book, including my friends from the primary, secondary, and university days, while working at the African Union, while working first of all at the University of Ibadan, and later in Addis Ababa, and here in the US. You are all golden and appreciated. My sincere thanks go to my darling Dr. Yemi Champion for always being there for me and for ably chairing this event. I appreciate the participation of our panelists and all those attending this book launch virtually. I thank you all and wish you God's continued blessing. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much to our audience, to our guests, to everyone that has joined us from all over the world today. This is truly an epic celebration of a life surrendered to God through adversity to become enriched just by what the Father has given. Please get your book from Amazon.com or from YetundeTeriba.com. It has been such an absolute delight to be here with you today. And we are all so proud that as we even do this, we're going to take the next steps. Just like Mommy has highlighted in this book, Mrs. Yetunde Teriba carries you through a journey of adversity with family centered at the purpose of every decision that she makes, yet aspiring to go for every dream that comes to her heart with the able support of her loving husband. In memory of him today, we celebrate him. We celebrate how he allowed her to be her, the children whom she raised, while at the same time juggling several careers and pioneering things like this in the African Union. You are an inspiration to us. I pray that you continue to be an inspiration. And I pray that this is the very beginning of the many more things that God has preserved you for. It has been a pleasure sharing this with everybody that has been here today, all our guest speakers. We thank you and we love you. Go get your book. Here's mine. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.